everybody. Welcome to DanceFest Weekly with me, Micaya, and my co-host, Brandy.
What's up, y'all? Happy Saturday.
Brandy, you know, it doesn't make much sense.
Okay, what's not making much sense?
There ought to be a law.
Okay. There ought to be a law against it.
See what?
I'm going along with you.
We all know in our minds that there ought to be a time that we can set aside just to show how much we love you. Happy birthday to you.
Okay.
Brandy,
Thank you.
I love you. I love you. Stevie Wonder, of course, wrote that, but I had to recite it to you, my love. Happy birthday.
Okay, I have lots of mascara on. I'm like, I can't be getting pink and red on the interview. Thank you, Micaya.
You and I were talking the other day, just to change the subject, like, you and I were talking the other day about a fact that I saw a movie and I got perturbed because the movie, I don't like dance movies a lot because they're so unrealistic and they piss me off, right? And I saw this movie and actually the dancing was really good. And I was surprised because usually the dancing isn't even that good. And the main character was good, which was really great. And she was a good dancer and all the choreography was good. So I sat there and watched the movie. Now the script was not that great. Nothing was that great besides the dancing, which was cool. So I wait to the end of the movie and I'm sitting there. Who choreographed it? Who? Can't find it. So I have to go to the IMDb, whatever thing, you know, the website. Still, I'm looking. They have the makeup person, the casting people, the music, the costumes, everything but the choreographer. And I had to go to other cast and crew. So that's why I call this DanceFest Weekly Respect, because you know what? That's a lack of respect.
Word. So we're giving some respect today. Okay. Are we ready? Are we going to talk about DanceFest? I'm going to tell all of y'all, get your tickets. It's going to be online this year. Pandemic's not stopping us, okay? Online, November 21st, sfhiphopdancefest.com. Go get those tickets. It's going to be a unique experience. Just like today, I get to introduce. What's that?
You segued.
All right.
Boy, we got some hard turns in this episode today. But tell us, because we have like the most special person ever today.
Okay, so this, legend, right? So recipient of the 2020, this year, 22nd annual, but year 2020 SF Hip Hop Dance Fest Bay Area Legend Award recipient. Yes, okay. Director of Culture Shock Oakland, AKA the Shock family, been in this dance community, pumping it up, lifting it up for over 20 years. Culture Shock Oakland is a force to be reckoned with. So we have Kim Sims Baptiste here with us today. I'm so excited. And, you know, I did a little bit of research before we interview, and I wanted to read this. So Culture Shock Oakland is, in their own words, revealing the power and beauty of hip hop to diverse audiences. And I love that, right? The power and the beauty, because there's so much power. And she is with Culture Shock Oakland. She is leading them in uplifting the community, volunteering. They've received proclamations from mayors of Oakland and San Francisco. So just putting it down, volunteering, uplifting, dancing, showing hip hop. So we're going to welcome Kim Sims Baptiste, but first we're going to see a clip of Culture Shock in action.
Yay!
Oh,
Hi,
man.
ladies. How are you?
Good. I'm really excited today because, you know, there's not a lot of people that I could have on the show that's been in it as long as I have, and that can go back and really, you know, say what it was like back in those days. So I'm honored to have you. I think the SF International Hip Hop Dance Fest is honored that you'll be receiving this award in this.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I truly do. I was actually kind of surprised, but surprised only because we haven't participated in DanceFest in a while, but I know that the award doesn't have so much to do with DanceFest as it is what I've done for the community and the dance industry in itself. But I really appreciate and really feel honored to be able to get this to represent not only my Shock family, but just dancers in general in the Bay Area. So thank you.
Well deserved. And it doesn't have to do with the Dance Fest. It has to do with just recognizing and respecting. And of respect. I don't know if you heard my little rant before you came on about movies and not dancers and choreographers not being respected. Do you have any opinion on that? Any 2 cents?
Oh, this has been going on for years. Yes, I have a very big opinion on that. Simply because, you know, like you said, me and you have been in this thing for, Coach Shock's been around 26 years. I've been dancing literally professionally for 30 years, worked in the fitness industry for, you know, almost 30 years. And, you know, I can go ahead and say, you know, women don't get the proper respect. Black women don't get the proper respect. So for me, you know, seeing you, I heard you mention about the movie and it not having the choreographer listed. That doesn't surprise me. There's plenty of work out there that I've done that my name was, oh, we just forgot, or, oh, we'll mention it here, or, oh, when there shouldn't be no, oh, period. If the man that's holding the traffic sign gets his name listed, I don't understand how all of my work shouldn't be listed as well. And why isn't it up there with the producers? Because, you know, choreographers and dancers set the tone so much for, you know, how videos are made, how movies are made. Even today with just, you know, concept videos and things like that, we're using artists' music and everything, and we're promoting their music, just trying to get ourselves out there in a way that people can see our art form, but then we don't get the recognition like we're supposed to. So yeah, this has been going on for years. And, you know, with the climate of everything that's going on in the world today, I'm hoping that that'll change and start putting artists and dancers and stage crew and lighting crew and you know, audio crew. Everybody starts to get the acknowledgement and the respect that they're supposed to get for that. So yeah, I got a lot to say about that.
For real.
I mean, I even as far as like, you know, just dancer to dancer, you know, being out there in the dance community, the dancers don't give the common respect. You know, they'll move from one dance company to the next, or one dance crew or whatever to the next, and won't acknowledge where they came from or where they started. And, you know, to me, that's just as worse as not getting a credit on a video or a movie. If you can't say where you came from to get that, you know, respect from your peers, that, you know, I came from here to here to here, you know. But the dancers out here, they this is how they go through crews. So hard
right,
to get respect.
New crew, new week,
hard
new
to get
crew.
respect when you can't remember where you were the week before. So we'll just leave it at that.
Right. Thank you. Hoping you would say all of that and more, and touch on the fact that for us as women to get the respect that we deserve and the things that we create, and when we're directing, it's harder for us.
Oh my God, yes. Like it's you know, like I said earlier, you know, the climate of what's going on in the world today, and especially in the dance industry, you know, we have a lot of people that are coming forward with being disrespected in ways that I couldn't even imagine. Like my daughter being in the dance industry, if she'd have had to do the things that I'm seeing that some of these other young women have had to do to go forward, it would, I'd shoot myself. Like I can't imagine some of these women that are out there having to do different, and excuse me, I don't know if I should say it, different sexual acts just to go forward, doing disrespectful things to themselves just to move forward. And it's gotten to the point now where, people are losing the love of dance, the love of arts, respect for directors and things like that, or people that are in lead, because people are not being taken care of. And then on top of that, our women are having to sacrifice their bodies and their mental stability in order just to get put in front, in order to just be seen, in order to just be heard. And it's gotten to a point now that it's ruining people. So it's spread across the spectrum in ways that I wouldn't have even imagined. I've listened to, over the last couple of weeks, a lot of different, Instagram stories and things that have been going on. And these girls you can look in their eyes and see that they're dead now. They're dead to dead to something that to them was a release. It was a way for them to build up their self-confidence, for them to gain respect for their art form instead of having to be somebody that they're not. And then they ended up having to, jeopardize their mind and their body just to get a position in front to perform or to be acknowledged. So yeah, women out there, we're still struggling to make it happen. And, I have to say, women like myself and like you have stood the ground of this is how we're going to do it. You can follow me or you don't have to. You can easily go somewhere else, is the reason why some of these girls are out there now stuck, lost, and violated. When all of this stuff kind of went down, I talked to, a bunch of my younger girls and was like, so do you see why I'm telling you, you can't do this? Do you see why I'm telling you I'm not taking you here to do this and that and the other? Do you see why I'm telling you, take your ass home after rehearsal or after a performance? You don't need to be hanging with them. The kids don't need to be with the adults. Everybody that over all these years, I've always been, the bitch in it. But I did it knowing that these days would come up and these actions would come forward and they would be seen and heard. And now look at where we're at. We've got people that are devastated, having to, call suicide hotlines and it's crazy. And for women, and especially Black women too, it's a fight. It's a fight. And you have to be strong in your mind. You have to be strong in your heart and what you're going to accept and not accept in order for you to move forward, period. If you give in at any point in time, you just disrespected yourself. We're not going to even talk about the other people. You just disrespected yourself. You just belittled yourself in order to get something, and you should never have to do that.
Thanks for you. Give thanks for you for role models.
Those children, those youth need you.
And for me, that's what Culture Shock has always been about. Have my dancers always been the best? No. Have my dancers always been featured, in competitions or shows and all of this? No. And I was accepting of that. I was fine with that. Now my job was just getting them to understand why. And for those that, know me and have been around me, the question of why never even comes about. If I said it, I have a reason. There's always a method to my madness, but it's, for me, it's always been about, trying to bring up the next generation with morals, trying to bring up the next generation, and they have their self-respect in place so that they can go forward with what they want to do, knowing that they don't have to sacrifice themselves. You might give in to this or give in to that, but as long as you come back to the space of where you want to be, then you're always going to succeed. And that's what, I use my daughter as a prime example because I was around kids. She had to grow up around, 300-400 people, aunts and uncles, cousins that we all considered family, but she had to get parts of me because I was sharing it with everybody. But when it came down to being at home and we got to talk and how is this going to happen and wop, that's when I had to kick into mama mode and be like, no, we don't have to go and do this if just because somebody else did. You don't have to follow the lead of others. You don't have to be in the same position as everybody else to get what you want. So let's step back and figure out how we're going to do it for us. And that me keeping that with her and always ensuring her, you know, you're a Black female that's going to succeed. I don't care what I have to do in a day's time. You know, whatever if it's me sitting down and having to talk to you, I can't even begin to tell you how many conversations or text messages that I've gone through with dancers, and sometimes their parents don't even know about it. But if it's me being there to say, no, you are beautiful. I'm not worried about your hair looking a certain way. If you got hair, let that shit out. If you don't, then put it in, you know, whatever it is. But it's those small things that if we don't ensure our girls, our women, our young ladies, that it's okay, then this industry will eat them alive, and they'll never regain that respect for what they thought they loved so much if they don't have that same respect and love for themselves first and foremost.
So you kind of got into it a little bit about just, you know, being in this industry, working with people. So Culture Shock Oakland has, like you said, 26 years. That's a good amount of history. So we want you to tell us about, you know, just, you know, the beginnings, the foundations, because, you know, not everyone is getting the Bay Area Legend Award, right? So you've put in work, right? So tell us about that. Yes, tell us about, like, you know, Culture Shock starting and getting
most definitely
to where you are now.
Right. So let me just start off with the fact that, you know, at the time of Culture Shock coming into my life, it was a matter of me deciding, am I going to be that industry girl that runs to LA, that tries to make it big and da-da-da-da-da-da-da? You know, I was going up with, you know, the Loriannes and the you know, people like that. So it was, you know, is this what I really want? So I tried that. And, you know, when I was told that I was a typical looking Black girl, you know, that's when I knew, okay, it's time for me to bounce, because y'all think I'm regular. I'm not regular by any means. That may not have been what I wanted, and I didn't know it at that time until Culture Shock came about. So I'm heavily into fitness. That's what my profession is more so in. And, you know, we got this notice that Nike was having this audition for its first ever hip hop dance company. And, you know, I saw it, but I wasn't really tripping it. So I got done teaching class on a Saturday morning, and everybody was getting all prepped up. And I'm like, well, where y'all going? Because I want to get down too. So it was me, Ronnie Reddick, Corey Action, a couple other people. I can't even remember their names. And I don't even think they dance or anything anymore. Rachel. Oh my God. There was every Black dancer that was in the Bay Area at that time went to this audition. Now, let me step back for a second, because as Black as I am, I was the only one that didn't know what was going on, right? So they swooped me up. I'm literally like still drenched from teaching my hip hop class, and we go over and we walk into this room, and there's this room just full of Black, white, Asian, Filipino, gay, straight, confused. I mean, like everybody in there was in there, and we all were just like, you know, okay, so what we finna do? So Angie Bunch, who is the president of Culture Shock, is a Nike Elite. At that time was a Nike Elite trainer, and I knew of her because of that. So I was like in awe with the fact, like, oh my God, you know, just like here she is, you know. And she got up and she started speaking. And then when she introduced it, she said, I want you to understand that Culture Shock is more of a movement. And when she said that, I was like, you know, oh, okay, what's she talking about? And then she started talking about, you know, the ultimate goal is for us to use our talent and our art to influence and inspire youth to use dance as a way, as an outlet. And as soon as she said that, I was like, 5, 6, 7, 8, let me give you the business. And and you know, now I knew what I was there for. So I auditioned and I made it. All of us made it, but a couple of people that, you know, were just like real bootsy. But so people that wouldn't even be looking at this, they don't dance anymore, so I can say that. But you know, me, Corey, Ronnie, Rachel, we all got on the first initial team. So it was Culture Shock San Francisco at that time. And, you know, we did a couple good months, a couple incidents happened, a bunch of things came up, you know, because the Bay Area, you know, we're all full of divas. And at that time, we all hadn't shed our diva robe. So, you know, the first round, I'm going to be very honest, the first season of Culture Shock and Starting was horrible because we all couldn't get together what we needed to do. And their objective of what they thought Culture Shock would be and my objective of what I heard from Angie was completely different. And as that started to come out, then we all realized, you know, well, I'm in it for one reason, and not that them not being in it was not a good reason or a bad thing. It just wasn't what they wanted. They wanted to be dancers in a different realm. I wanted to dance and do this youth outreach and everything as well. So when it all panned out, you know, Sarah Rothman and Eric Finn were directors at that time. You know, we all sat down, all of them left. And there was probably about 6 of us sitting there like, you know, so how are we gonna do this? And, you know, we fought through it for a little bit. We had auditions, people came back, and then, you know, it was just after that, and that was the cycle. You know, you run it for a year, the auditions. You run it for a year, auditions. And if there's a dancer in the Bay Area that says that I think probably Micaya is the only one. Micaya is probably the only dancer that at any point in time cannot say that they have not been a part of Culture Shock. Whether you acknowledge it, respect it, and hold it to your heart is a completely different thing. I actually don't care if you do or don't, because I know the legacy that I've left with what I did from that day that I heard Angie speak up into this one right now. So, you know, there's a lot of people that, you know, have branched off and they've done their own dance crews, done their own competition crews, they've done showcase, they've done workshops, all of that. But this woman right here and that one right there, the basis of where all of this stuff started came off of our backs. I've always said that. Yep. Now, have me and Micaya always agreed on everything? No. But respectfully, we know where this came from. We know where the work came from. And it's from women like us that decided, you know what, I'm not trying to make this some, you know, NBC story or movie. I just want it to be where people can come, be themselves, be free to dance, run along with our mission of being able to be out there and be a part of the community. And then as long as you're good with that, man, we can do whatever you want to do. But the moment that you move away from our mission and our motto now, then it's a wrap. I don't need you to be involved, because I'm not going to turn away from what originally we said we were going to do. And to this day, I have done originally what I said I was going to do, and I'll never turn from that.
Wow. Wow. I remember all those days very clearly because I was there. I was still in that single mom mode where going being part of a dance group was not, it was like I had my plate so full. But
oh, you were on the grind. It was like, we would always talk about that, like, why ain't Micaya here? Micaya got bills to pay. Boo, ain't nobody. Micaya worry about what she got to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, people get into this mind frame that because we're directors and this is what we've chosen to do, that's all of our life should be around. And it's not. You were a single mom. I was a single mom or I was about to be a single mom. I was getting divorced at that time. And, you know, yeah, you single moms, we out here, you know, doing everything we can to not only raise our children to be right, but then we got all these other kids. Some of them are adults that we're also raising up to be, you know, respectable. So, yeah.
But Culture Shock, Kim, was the hottest thing in San Francisco, and everybody looked up to them. Everybody wanted to be them. It was all of the people that you mentioned. Gary Kendall, right?
Right.
Gary Kendall, and then Ken Jimenez and Raleigh. And
well, they came a couple seasons later, but yeah, they definitely, yeah, Gary Kendall, Raleigh Duenas, Kenny Jimenez, Eric was still around at that time, Eric Finn, Sarah too, until she, you know, she became a mom, and then she was like, here you go, and handed it on over to me. But you know, yeah, there's plenty of, oh my God, Ricardo. Oh my God.
Haitian guy, right?
I'm saying again?
The Haitian guy that could do those back bends.
Right. Yeah, a contortionist. Yeah, swear to God, he was a contortionist and he didn't know it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's so much history in, you know, when you look at the dance industry and where all these crews are coming from, and, you know, all of that stuff started from back in the day when Culture Shock started. I'm not going to say everybody did, but 98%.
I was telling Brandy this the other day because she didn't know all these people that have done all of these amazing things came from Culture Shock, And yeah, you know, they came from one of us mothers in this case.
Right, exactly. And I look at, you know, like I look at, I don't know if you all heard about the recent incidents with Jesse Lee Santos. And Jesse was one of my, was like a son to me. Like, Jesse would not be the dancer he was in LA and what he had done had it not been for me being that coach and that director for him. Because he was one of those that, you know, I want to go to LA. And I was like, hold on, come back. You know, let's talk about, you know, how you carry yourself, how you going to do this. And then I want to run. Oh, well, you know, wait a couple more months, come on back, you know, and then, okay, now go. And then when he went, you know, he had at that point in time the respectable way of being able to approach things. And I say respectable because you can't just run out and start talking crazy to choreographers and, you know, doing all the little crazy things that you would do with us that we may excuse because we can hit you in the back of the head and send you back home. These people ain't gonna hit you in the back of the head. They're gonna just tell you, you can go. So those are things that, you know, as directors in this industry that, you know, we share all of that information with people and then they take it out and then they represent us. And unfortunately, you know, his representation now is not something that he learned from me. The things that he did, you know, he did not learn from me, but in talking to him in recent times, you know, he's really feeling it right now. And, you know, one thing he said to me is, you know, like, Mama Kim, I'm glad you told me not to do A, B, C, and D, but then I went off and did E, F, and G, and this is where I'm at today. And I was like, all right, well, man up and handle your shit then.
Yeah. Can I just tell you something I just thought about? Because I heard Jesse for a couple of things, and he's one of my favorite dancers, you know, honestly. Boy is a badass dancer. But the one thing I remember besides how hard he worked is he would always come to me and say, what can I improve on? What can I improve on? I bet you taught him that.
Oh yeah. You ain't good. I don't believe in, you know, did these parents walk around and they're like, oh, my baby is so good. Don't lie. No, they're not. I will never, ever, ever tell any child that you are more special than the next. Not ever. Now, you might be good for that moment, or you might have killed it then, but how can you be better? Oh yeah, you should always know that you got to be better, period. So yeah, if he came to you with that, it's because I had at some point in time not belittled him, but let him know, oh no, boo, because see him over there, he could take that from you in a heartbeat. So yeah.
What was beautiful about it is he was doing so good. It was like, oh, the most humble one is the best one. So, boom.
Right.
There's so much between, like, that we could spend hours, and I know we don't have, to fill in the blanks of all these different people. But what I want to do is bring up your daughter, because we've all seen her grow up, or I've seen her grow up as a beautiful, talented, powerful, fierce young woman, and now we've witnessed that she's grown into a beautiful, talented, powerful, fierce woman. And she's, you know, she's a dancer, and you raised her obviously to just be her own person and be strong. And she's now dancing for Janet Jackson, but I'm sure she's probably doing much more. She contacted me when she found out you were getting the award on the side, and she said, can I please present my mother the award?
I didn't know that. Oh, she's so sweet. Little peanut head girl. She's my peanut head. I can call her that. Yes, Dominique is my best friend in the whole wide world. She is definitely the byproduct of her mother. As soon as you talk to her, there shouldn't be any question. You'd be like, you Kim's daughter, right? You know, Dominique, like I said, she had to share me with hundreds of other kids and hundreds of other dancers. And it was funny because Chuck Rodriguez, who has been with me literally for 26 years in Culture Shock, we were sitting outside running an audition, and while the dancers were in there, you know, going over it, we were sitting out on the side, and Dominique was standing next to me. She was 6 at the time, and she just kept, you know, and I was like, girl, stay still. Oh my God, you know, like, what is you doing? And she finally looked at me, she goes, Mom, can I go in there and try it with them? And I was like, you know, oh, you so cute, go on in there, girl. I'm thinking she gonna stumble, fall, run into somebody. Got in there and killed it. And when I say killed it, it was to the point where me and Chuck both sat there like this, just blinking. And when she got done, she looked over at me and she was like, you know, like, did I do it? And I was, all I could do was, yeah. And Chuck said in my ear, and to this day, when he said this, I knew my life had to go like this for her. He says, well, we weren't expecting that. And I said, nope. And he says, you know what you have to do now, right? And I said, yep. And from that day forward, everything about what I had to do, everything about where Culture Shock had to go, everything about where my fitness and profession had to go, everything about how my household had to be, you know, taken care of, all had to change, because the one thing that I always wanted was right there in front of me. I wanted to be that raw dancer that was just like, as soon as I walked in the door, somebody would go, oh my God. And I had it right there in front of me. It wasn't me, but I knew I had something to do. I had something else I had to do. So when I obviously let her on the dance troupe when she auditioned with everybody, and she was the youngest on Future Shock, which is supposed to be 14 and up. And here she is 6. And so then I ended up having to create like Mini Shock and Mighty Shock so that she'd have a group of dancers that would be able to dance with her. So I'm creating all this extra work and everything for me to be able to have it for her.
Interesting.
And so she,
wow. That's it. I didn't know all of that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Mini Shock and all of that stuff came up because I didn't have a dance troupe for Dominique to be on, that then people weren't gonna say like, you know, well, she's only this age and you let her on to this. I did every avenue that I could take to keep people from having to say anything to me about mine, you know, I just went ahead and did it. So Mighty Shock came about, Mini Shock came about. They went into the, you know, the World Hip Hop Championships. Her team was the first U.S. team to win 2 years in a row, international and the U.S. and the world competitions. And then she was dancing with Darnell Carroll at Sunset. So she was competing and doing all of that. But her first, I won't say her first love, but her first movement started with me. And from that day forward, anything that she did, she always made it a point that it started with me and then it went out. So if it came here and it was good, when my mom endorses it, my mom says yes, okay, then I do it. My mom don't like that. My mom don't want me to do that. It just ain't gonna get done, you know? So, and I'm one of those parents that are, you know, oh, I didn't get an award, I'm gonna cry. You crying over a piece of paper or some plastic? You got me confused. Not this one. Not from this mom. I ain't gonna be over there talking about, oh, you didn't get it this time. No. It's, I can write you a certificate. I can buy you a trophy if that's what you're there for. But when I got her knowing that, you know, that's not what you should be setting your dance career on, then everything changed. Then it became, oh, did you all see Dominique and da-da-da-da-da-da, you know? And so then she grew up dancing with, you know, Brian Friedman, Gil Dildalau, Lorianne Gibson, Luther Brown, all these different people that I myself had danced with or worked with or had done something with, but then I took the back seat. And for a long time, I would not tell Dominique, don't tell them that you're my daughter.
Right, right. That makes sense.
If you're gonna get it, you're gonna get it on your own. The extra is the fact that, oh, you're Kim's daughter, but Kim ain't gonna be able to go over and tell this choreographer or director or owner, oh, she's my daughter, so you should just, no, you have to, it's gonna have to ride off of your own work. So for many, many years, I had people that I was really close to that didn't even know that Dominique was that Dominique was my Dominique. Because I would always try to keep it separate so that she could build her own. It had nothing to do with me. It was all about what you could do. If you want to make it in this industry, then it's going to have to come off of your back.
That is so interesting to hear about you forming the other parts of the Shock family. So, because you are obviously a person who's like, if I'm setting the rules, I can't be breaking the rules and letting all these kids see me breaking the rules. So I have to do this other work to make sure that they still see, that I'm respecting the boundaries and those things. And so I have seen Culture Shock so many times. Seen them a lot in Mission in the Mix. Like, to me, I'm like, oh, if you start listing Mission in the Mix, dance companies, it's like, oh yeah, Culture Shock. Cause you just, think of that. So I'm wanting to have you kind of go down memory lane and talk about Culture Shock performing in DanceFest. And I know it's been a minute, but still there was,
my goodness,
from the beginning, right?
Right. So to get into DanceFest, you had to be pretty special. That's how I always felt. That's how my dancers always felt. And to the things that you went through, like it wasn't just, a regular rehearsal, a regular old performance. No, we got DanceFest. You better, it was one of these, like, don't play, So we would always it would always be, how can I say, dancers would try to put themselves on a pedestal to be a part of DanceFest. Like, I would all of a sudden be getting coffee at rehearsal. I would get cakes, cookie, whatever, oh, because DanceFest coming up, I got to be a part of DanceFest, So it was always, my dancers always took it very seriously, because Micaya had set up the platform that if you were part of DanceFest, it was because you were special. Now, special didn't mean always that everybody was the best, which meant that, there was room for a little bit of, mess up or change. And Micaya would come right in and be like, what, hey, boo, your dancers over on this side was missing step 2 and da-da-da-da-da-da. But it was because you had a forum that, people were coming in that would be that critical. And I could understand that, and I could respect that. I remember we did, I want to say, I think it was a school theme. And because I couldn't have, at that point I had Mini Shock, Mighty Shock, Future Shock, Culture Shock. I think the only one I didn't have was Aftershock. And they were all like, well, we just gonna put a piece together with everybody. And I was like, oh, so y'all think I got enough brain capacity for all of that? Okay, all right, well, you know what, here we go. So I made my older dancers teachers. I made my younger kids, first grade, second, all this. And we were going through it, and we walked in, and I think there were probably about 60 dancers. And Micaya looked at me and she was like, so what half of the show are you all taking over? Because I was like, no, this is just for one piece. And she was like, oh, everybody's dancing in this piece? I was like, yeah. I was like, didn't you see my call sheet? And all I can remember is Micaya looking at me like, how is this going to work? And we got up there, we did the run through. Run through wasn't perfect, but it gave the concept, it gave the whole visual, what was going to happen. And Micaya walked over, and let me tell you her exact words. She walked over and she said, okay, girl. And she walked away. And I was like, and all my dancers looked at me and was looking at me like, was that a compliment? Was she throwing shade or and I was like, oh no, that means that we did good. Don't worry about all of that. Because all she literally did was like, okay, girl, and walked away. I was like, okay, I knew what that meant. I knew what that meant. She was expecting a disaster and we put it down. But you know, Dance Fest for us. It was always a moment of us stepping our game up. It was always a moment of being able to go and get into the mix with all the different types of dancers, for the dancers to be able to see. And I remember, you know, when we would go through the run-throughs and all the different teams would be there, and they would all kind of like break off and all this and that and the other. I would always make my dancers, you're going to watch the whole thing, so you can see. You might miss something because you're in the back getting ready, or we can't be in the, you know, you can't see it or whatever. So everybody's got to sit there and watch. And Micaya, another time, was like, you know, your kids are so well-mannered and quiet, and I haven't heard anything, because she would have to turn around and be quiet out there. And it was never none of my kids. So, you know, Dance Fest for us was always that ultimate platform for performances. And it was something that we every year planned for, and, you know, and then throughout the years, we just got so busy with doing stuff that, you know, us trying to fall within Dance Fest guidelines, it just wasn't happening. But we here.
Wow. Wow. So many memories. I wish
Right. Okay, girl.
We could talk for so much longer, but I know we have to all wrap up. So it's been a pleasure, absolute pleasure talking to you. I know that you and I don't ever see each other. Like, we don't teach at the same studio. We don't run in a lot of the same circles. So when I do get to see you, it's always really nice and makes me want to just call you on the phone sometimes just to chat. But it's been
Pick up the phone then, boo. I ain't doing nothing, just like the rest of them. I'm sitting at home. This is my bedroom wall, girl. I just moved everything out the way to make it look cute.
Right on.
So we're looking forward to seeing you accept your award at the
SF Hip Hop Dance Fest 22nd annual. Look, I'm just primed and ready to go. I'm like, yes, Dance Fest, what? Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
See you again next time. I think, let me get my little glasses. I think next week our guest is the one and only Corey Action.
Corey! Who started off there?
Corey!
Speaking of.
There you go, right? Okay.
I gave Corey his first teaching job.
Love it. Love it. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.